In the 6 decades since Stan Lee and Jack Kirby established the Marvel Universe with the Fantastic Four, the superpowered family hasn't had much luck on the big screen. There was the unreleased 1994 version, the Tim Story films in the 2000s, which, while popular, seem to now be mostly looked back through the lens of noughties nostalgia, and the 2015 reboot whose greatest legacy is this meme. With almost a decade between each attempt, it's natural that some fans began to wonder if the team could ever be perfected on film. But following the Disney-Fox merger and several directors and actors being attached over the years, we finally have the MCU's take on Marvel's first family. So was First Steps worth the wait? Set in an alternate 1960s, First Steps introduce us to the Four as they celebrate their anniversary and welcome Reed and Sue's new baby, Franklin. When the Silver Surfer heralds the destruction of Earth, the team begins plotting a master plan to save their family and planet from Galactus. And like with Superman, even though the film has been out for a few weeks, I won't reveal much more to avoid spoilers. Even what I described just now is more than I knew going in, since I did my best to avoid the trailers, which working at the cinema wasn't easy. The plot takes elements from previous films, mainly through adapting the Galactus storyline again, but director Matt Shakman manages to justify revisiting this material with the film's period setting. It's not part of the prime MCU reality, but a separate Earth in a space-age vision of the past, with the costumes, production design, and even the visual language of the film reflecting this. I loved the documentary-style montages with that grainy archive footage look, plus the mix of futuristic and retro tech. The cultural references, TV shows, and magazines throughout fully sell that this is an alternate version of our own past, and with a vivid colour palette and some stylized effects, we have the best looking Marvel film in a while. Some moments look a little dodgy, and I'm not sure they'll ever master CGI babies, but it all creates a great comic book aesthetic for this alternate history. The music from Michael Giacchino is suitably adventurous and retro, a little John Williams at times, with a main theme ripped right out of another era. Fans have been trying to cast the MCU Fantastic Four for the past decade, and after so many different stars in talks over the years, they found a solid team. Pedro Pascal is a great Reed Richards, but not for the reason he usually excels. He tends to play charismatic characters with a great presence, but Reed is a much quieter, more reserved guy. He feels very autism-coded, always working on something, always planning for disaster, and struggling to connect with others as a result. It's an interesting take on the character, and he does feel like a real scientist struggling with the weight of the world on his shoulders. Serving face memes aside, Vanessa Kirby is wonderful as Sue Storm. Her being a mother is key, but she isn't defined by it, continuing to be strong-willed and even challenging Reed at several points. She goes through a lot in this film, and I think Kirby is primed for this role. Also, she has the perfect last name for this, come on. I never got beyond the first episode of The Bear because I'm a coward, so it's nice to finally see Eben Moss-Backrack in action, and he's such a warm, likeable Ben Grimm. It's refreshing to see a version of him who's at peace with his appearance and has fully embraced being a public figure and a hero to kids. Joseph Quinn is one of the best stars to come out of Stranger Things, and he brings Johnny Storm to life with real charm. He's not just the hot-headed ladies' man, he has a whole subplot showing that he's still a dedicated scientist, which is something I appreciated overall. Every one of the four gets their moment to stand out. They're all scientists, they all have their strengths, and they work brilliantly together. I can't wait to see more of them in the future. Like Superman, the film isn't afraid to be too comic booky, especially with its mix of space-age sci-fi and even some cosmic horror stuff when it comes to Galactus, who's finally realised in all his giant purple glory. I'm a little disappointed that Ralph Ineson didn't use his rich northern accent, but I think they nailed the scale and presence of the character as a godlike being. Julia Gardner is also great as a more emotive and alien version of the Silver Surfer, and I like that while they have moments together, they don't go down a romantic route with her and Johnny. At its core, it's a story about family, both biological and chosen. As cheesy as it sounds, the public is as much a part of the family as the Four. This idea of community comes to a head in what I found a very moving start to the third act. As part of the Four's plan to combat Galactus, the whole human race comes together to help. Looking at this from the hellscape of 2025, I couldn't help but see parallels with climate change, especially since part of the plan involves the Earth preserving power through mandatory blackouts. Idealistic? definitely, but with Thunderbolts, Superman, and now First Steps all exploring topical issues with heartfelt optimism, going to the cinema has been a real joy this year. 2025 gave us superhero movies telling us it's okay to ask for help, to be kind, and that we can work together for the good of the planet. If our heroes really are a reflection of us, maybe we'll be alright. I can see why some have called this a return to form for the MCU. I was personally more surprised by Thunderbolts, but I appreciate how unique this film was. It requires no homework to enjoy, and it feels like it would be at home in the early days of Phase 1. I didn't quite love it as some did, but like the Batman before it, while you do feel the weight of this being the latest in a long line of iterations, it holds its own with great confidence. I'd love to see it a second time to see how well it holds up, but I can safely say I enjoyed it, and I hope we see more of this universe before Secret Wars resets the timeline. It seems to be struggling at the box office, so if you want more individual adventures from the MCU, go out and see it. It seems the fourth time was the charm.